Greetings everyone, my name is Greg. In this video I am going to be answering some questions that were asked from someone that calls themselves Agent 8778. These questions were asked in a video I did, the response video to Father Robert Barron's comments on hell. I'll have the link to that video in the description bar below. That's part 1. I'll have both part 1 and part 2. Because both of those were made before becoming a partner on YouTube and all that happy jazz and having the ability to do longer videos, and I haven't updated those. I just let it be because the things that I had said in that I stand by, and it's something that, as far as the aspect of hell and the God, I would only add the aspect of the God itself, by the sheer nature of that philosophy, is showing that it is a malevolent being. It's not about benevolence at all. It's not about love. Where this Father Robert Barron said that God is love, that's not one of its attributes, that's what he is. That is fundamentally false. For this simple fact: if your God, Father Robert Barron, or any Christian or Catholic, is love, not that that's one of its attributes or something it can do from time to time, but that's what it is, then it would be incapable of showing any action or behavior that is not love-based. It would be incapable of showing hate, anger, rage, malice, because that's not love. It is on par with the aspect of you will never, ever get prune juice out of an orange. No matter how many oranges you squeeze, no matter how many different times you try it, you will always get orange juice from an orange, because that's what's inside. That's what it is. If your God is love, then all that can come out of your God is love. If anything else can come out of your God is not just love. Your God would be a mixture of positive, negative, so forth. The reason that the Christian's God reacts like a human, thinks like a human, can be all over the place with its emotions, is because it's a psychological projection of your own ego. It is not about some entity out there. It is your own ego being projected as being some godly thing that others have to bow to. You're wanting other people to bow to you, to what you say, to what you want, to what you go along with, to what you like, and not doing what you don't like. It's the same with, you can see it with every Christian, be it Shock of God, be it G-Man, be it whoever. Their God that they talk about, you can psychologically look at it and see this is a projection of themselves. They're projecting what they like or don't like, what they support or don't support. And they're wanting you to goose step to what they say. And if you don't go along with what they say, their God is perfectly happy with torturing you because they are. That's how they act. That's how they think. That's what they want. It's not about the God. It's about the believer, the Christian. Because I have some Christian friends that also say they don't believe in hell. And be that as it may, it's still a psychological projection of themselves. I mean, point blank. It's the same thing. They personally don't go along with this idea because they personally wouldn't want others tortured. And in that, I am good. Bravo. However, it is still a psychological projection of yourself. The questions that this person asks are typical of the Bible thumpers. And you may or may not agree with the answers I give to these, but be that as it may. In a sense, they said, teach me. Okay, fine. I've been researching this shit for over 20 years. The first one of why are we here? That is a very subjective question. I can give you my answer for it, but chances are yours would differ from it in some ways perhaps not. But why we're here is simply to learn and to use the term evolve, grow, to, in Star Trek terms, with data to exceed the limits, the sum of your programming. To better yourself. That's, in a sense, why. The aspect of, is there an afterlife? Is there something beyond? There are some atheists that take a more nihilistic view, and I'm not one of them. I see what is termed as an afterlife is a poor choice of words, a poor term, because the aspect of the first law of thermodynamics, energy cannot die, it can only change form. We are energy beings. That is provable scientifically with a voltmeter. That if you have a voltmeter, I don't have one myself, a friend of mine showed this to me, he's mechanical as hell, that if you hold a voltmeter, each of the rods in one hand, you will create an electrical field. Because we are electrical energy beings. It's what we are. He was showing me this with the aspect of if you have like lemon juice on a napkin in two different areas and you touch both sides, you will create an electrical arc. I find that interesting. The thing is, when he held them in his hands, he did the same thing. And we tested it further with him holding one, me holding his hand, and me holding the other, and it created twice the electrical field. I thought that was very strange. And it's just one of things like that. I'm kind of, this is interesting. I'm not saying that this, in a sense, proves there is a soul or anything. No. It would be an energy body. And the aspect of a soul, I think, is a bad term. Just like the term God is so pissed on. But the aspect of what is termed an afterlife, I wouldn't use the term of an afterlife, but rather that death is simply a transition from one form to another. Much like when water with heat evaporates and turns to steam, it is transitioning from one form, be it ice or liquid, to the gaseous state of steam. That when we die, we would be transitioning from the physical form that you see here into an energy or light body, be that as it may. You can't torture that. Sorry, Christians. Your malevolent mindset simply wouldn't work. I have no problem with the idea of that. I know a lot of atheists would reject such a notion because they would see it as hinging on the God thing, and it doesn't. Not at all. Because the aspect of an energy body doesn't mean there needs to be a God. Even if there would be something consciousness-wise, if it would be as the Christians, Catholics, so forth, say of being omnipresent, that means it's everywhere at once. Which means, number one, if there would be a hell, that it would be there too. And it makes no sense why a God thing would choose to torture itself because part of itself didn't think a certain way. It makes no sense. It's psychologically damaged. The thing is, every single person would be an aspect of, to use the term, what would be the source, God, or whatever, deistic, if you want to use that frame, for what this would be. I'm not opposed to something of that nature because it wouldn't be judging at all. It wouldn't give a damn. Because every single one of us would be a different representation of itself. All life would be a different piece of what is termed all that is. Okay, fine. There's no judgment, there's no hate, there's no condemnation, there's no, you have to think this way or else. That's a malevolent mindset. It simply doesn't work. So if you want to try and say that something exists, okay, fine, so be it. It's not some external entity that you're going to ever run into and be, I am God, you must bow to me. No. That is childish. But why we're here is learn, grow, to use the term evolve. The next question is, how did we come about? The aspect of how did life begin is not evolution. That would be termed biogenesis, and it is one that scientifically we don't know. What I contend in that matter is that it is an aspect of what would be termed panspermia. I take a more what would be termed directed panspermia aspect, the idea of life being seeded here. But life being seeded here doesn't necessarily mean it was by an ET or alien race, but it could be simply seeded here from an asteroid, or seeded here from comets, seeded here from different things that would have impacted the Earth and introduced a new organism into the ecosystem. Because there's aspects that gets into a whole mountain of shit that I'm not going to address in this, but how did we come about? The easy and quick answer is what would be termed panspermia. That's one that is, in a sense, the safest to deal with, because one thing I don't want is to give any whack job the idea that a panspermia type of thing could be their god. Unless you're saying your god is an alien race, and that you're worshiping an alien race. No. If you're going to make that assertion that your God is an alien, by all means, we can have that discussion. But, moving on, what is our purpose? The purpose of each person is up to them. It is not something that anyone, like, I could not sit here and tell you what your purpose is. I don't know. Because it would come down to, I've heard it said, it was said two different ways, which is was basically saying the same thing. The channeling of Bashar had said, follow your highest excitement. Joseph Campbell had said, follow your bliss. Both are saying the same thing. Do what you enjoy. Follow the things that make you happy. Your purpose is directly related to the things that make you happy. And the things that you enjoy will not in any way be harmful to someone else. Because nobody sits and goes, I want to be evil, I want to be nasty. No. Those are, to use the term, misrepresentations of what they're enjoying. It is their aspect of wanting to project their own insecurities and to try and compensate for their own insecurities and shortcomings to being, I have to degrade or devalue or belittle this other because they're not just like me. It is not actually what they enjoy. It is more one of they're trying to avoid what their own pain or their own insecure issues by overcompensating with trying to make someone else either suffer or pull them down to a being as miserable as they are. It's quite a pathetic type of display. But the purpose of each person is something that they decide. And then the next two questions are kind of very much related. Is there right and wrong? Yes, but that is something that is cultural and largely subjective based on the society and the historical time frame. Because the things that were, to use the term right and wrong, that were perceived as such back, say, 2,000 years ago, would have been based on the culture that was around at that time and the ideas that they had. Because even if you go back to the time of the Inquisitions, my doing that would have been regarded as evil of the devil because I am using magic. I'm making fire come out of my hand. They wouldn't understand what this is. They would have had no conception. So it would be it's evil. It would be fires coming out of my hand. Because it can look from a distance that that is where it is. It's coming out of my hand. It's not. It's coming out of this. But they wouldn't have understood what this is. So to people of that time, just this would be evil. And this would also be evil. Satanic, demonic. Because when I take a drag of the cigarette, number one, the end of the cigarette gets red. You can see the fire. And then when I exhale, because I inhale, you don't see it too much, but it would be, he's breathing smoke. He's a demon. Smoke is coming out of his mouth. A cigarette. They wouldn't have understood what that is. Because they wouldn't have understood this or this. Or how it works. So the fact that they would not have understood to their mindset would make it wrong. Because they don't get it. They don't understand. The same is true in things with our world. But the aspect of it is socially. Are there things that a person can do that are negative? Yes. There is negative and positive. It's not a matter of anything having to threaten you. That if you don't live up to a certain standard. Because what standard? Whose? Yours? Someone else's? Then you're trying to impose your ideas, your position, onto others. It is, by very definition, a malevolent mindset. Because you're wanting to dictate to others. Now, we have social agreements that we have made as a society. That because we are living in a collective social environment, that there are certain behaviors that we have socially agreed are acceptable and unacceptable. In this regard, the Ten Commandments the Christians tout, they don't relate. They're The only ones that would are the not killing, not stealing, and not lying. 3 of the 10. The aspect of whether or not somebody believes in a God is not a crime. Whether or not they wear a cross or anything, I'm not wearing my pentagram necklace right now, and I'm not just going to put it on for this, but be that as it may, whatever someone is wearing, be it whatever symbol or whatnot, it's not about. We don't put people in jail because of having a graven image of some sort. It simply doesn't work that way. You don't put people in jail for not going to church or for not honoring their parents. This is bullshit. The fact that they're in your stupid 10 Commandments speaks more to your 10 Commandments being a psychological projection of the people of that time than to some mystical, boing God. And their last one is, what is right and wrong? In many ways, right and wrong is based on what is socially acceptable or unacceptable. But there is also, even if you avoid society or other people per se, there is still some behaviors that you can do that are more negative, and that they produce a negative result because of, to use the term, where you're coming from with it. In many ways, you really see the, in a sense, the positive and negative in interactions between people. But the idea that you have some cosmic Hitler out there that is going to torture you if you don't live up to some standard, that's tyrannical. It's not about what is loving, beneficial, because from nature, you don't see the aspect of what is termed cause and effect, or you reap what you sow, or karma, being an arbitrary. It would be based on, you do this, you get this result. It's just the way it is. It's nothing that you can break either. Cause and effect. You take an action, it will produce a result. Period. And the result is not per se evil. It's also not something that will be, to use the term, permanent. In some ways, there are some injuries that we can have to our physical body that, because of our limitations in medicine at this point, that we don't, at this time, know how to cure, like spinal injuries, or if somebody would damage like an arm or whatnot, or have an arm cut off, we do not have the ability medically at this point to repair that. Could we in time? Maybe. It still wouldn't make it any less wrong to inflict harm on somebody, be it by burning them or by whatever. It's still wrong. It's still harming someone else. And what makes it wrong, what makes something bad, is not does your God, which is a psychological projection of you, disagree with it, because it's one of you disagree with it. Okay, fine, so what? The thing is, it's whether or not it is harmful to someone else. Like homosexuality. Who someone else chooses to sleep with is none of your fucking business. Keep your pointed fucking nose out of their bedroom. It's none of your goddamn business. It's not wrong. It's just different. It is no more wrong than an interracial marriage or an interracial relationship. And I know Christians were all outraged about that in the 1960s. They were trying to act like black and white together. That's not of God. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. The idea of segregation because of race and so forth, it is moronic. But the ideas of what is right and wrong have changed as society has changed. That's the point. Are there some things that do stay socially? Yes. Not killing, not stealing. But the aspect of not killing, it seems to be one that the more religious someone is, the more thou shalt not kill becomes more one of just not your own type, not your own group. If someone is an atheist or someone is a Muslim or someone is a this or a that they're not part of your clique, your tribe, your group, then it's okay to kill them. Bullshit. Or the aspect of not stealing. Yeah, unless you're a televangelist. Or unless you're doing it for Jesus, which is horse shit. And the not lying, unless you're lying for Jesus. I see so many Christians on YouTube and on the internet in general that will spout absolute bullshit lies in the aspect of, well, it doesn't matter so long as it saves someone's soul. There's no one, to use the term, no soul is in danger from anything. Your God is, once again, a psychological projection of your own ego. Nobody needs saved from your ego. Maybe you do, but that's it. The ideas of a right and wrong, the aspect, it is largely subjective, but it is also cultural and historical time period. It all depends on a lot of factors. The culture you're in, the society you're in, because the things that are seen as right and wrong differ in the United States from somewhere like Iraq or Iran, or places where Sharia law is what is termed social norm. Then it is a social issue as well as the time period. But it's where the people are at, the people of that society. It is not something that you can go to another culture, because there are some cultures where women being married off at a very young age is still culturally acceptable. Or where slavery is culturally acceptable. Or where women having their clitorises removed because their religion says so, that is socially acceptable. It is absolutely disgusting. It is wrong because it is harmful to someone else. That is, in a sense, the way you can tell if something is wrong is, does it hurt anyone? And you're maybe being, well, you hurt my feelings. Oh, fuck your feelings. If watching one of my videos or my comments hurts your fucking feel-goods, walk your feel-goods away from me. You don't have to listen to what I'm saying. You don't have to talk to me. If it bothers you, if it hurts your feelings, take your feelings elsewhere, and they won't be hurt. But if you're coming at me, and you're going to bring your stupidity at me, I call a spade and a dumbass a dumbass. I don't play. I'm not going to try and stroke anyone. I'll lay my shit right on the fucking table, deal with it. It's not about, in a sense, being nice and kissing your ass. I don't kiss ass. It's not what I'm about. I don't do it ever. I am who I am, like it or not. It is something, I wanted to address this, and I recognize there are some that may even use the term of atheist that would be, I'm too gruff or I'm too angry. I'm not angry. I'm just disgusted at stupidity. I have no time for stupid people. But be that as it may. Talk to you later.